All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for coming. My name's Taylor with Scott Leroy Marketing. Today, we're going over email campaigns. I'm going to show you guys how to create an email design and then how to add it to your campaign section. If we have time, we'll both do a starting from scratch example, and then if we have time for a second one, we can jump into one of the pre-populated templates. So I can show you guys how to swap out that info. Feel free as we go to throw any questions you have in the chat. I'm going to do my best to watch for those and answer as we go along. If we have time at the end of class, I will revisit any questions that I may have missed. But I also just added our support email to the chat, so you can write that down if you want. That way, if you have a question that's specific for what you're experiencing, or you think of a question afterwards, you can always email our support team and they'll be happy to take a look. If you email us to ask for the video, we will send it out. You can also watch for it on our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and search Scott Leroy Marketing, you'll find our whole channel where we upload our videos, either classes or we have quick tip videos on specific topics. You can always search by topic here. And if you don't want to wait for this one to be done processing and uploaded, you can always check out the last month where we taught this class. First thing you're going to do is get signed into Command, going to agent.kw.com and entering your username and password. And then the first thing that I always recommend is making sure that your marketing profile is updated with as much information as possible. So if you go to your name in the upper right-hand corner and go to settings, that'll drop you into the main integrations page. Under connect settings is your marketing profile. Now here you have all of your information, and this information is going to pull to the legal header and footer that go into the email templates. And those are not able to be edited once they're pulled into the template. It's actually just syncing directly from here. So you have your headshot, and then you have a team logo. If you are not on a team and you don't have your own branded logo for your business, we still recommend having something here, because if you're creating the template, there's going to be a section in that legal footer where this pulls. And if nothing's here, it's going to look like something is missing or broken in your template, and you may not want to send your email out that way. We also recommend it being different than your headshot and your office's DBA logo, because those will pull to different areas, and the sizing of them is not able to be edited either. So if you have your headshot in multiple places or the office logo in multiple places, but they're different sizes, you may not like the looks of that. And I'll show you once we're in the actual template what that looks like as well. But I just wanted to touch on this because we get questions about it often. And then you have all of your details, designations, contact info. And then you have your office information. So this is where that office logo is going to go. And then your office details. And then you have your compliance section. So this is where the ownership statement, each office is independently owned and operated, is usually placed, as well as any additional text that may need to be added based on your office or the state that you're in. If you have any questions about what should be in this section, we recommend reaching out to your office's compliance coordinator or broker in charge. They're going to have all the details of what's required for your state. Same thing, if you have any links that you need to add, you can enter the text here and then the URL that you need that link to go to. And then your social media section, this is more relevant for your website, but you can add that while you're in here. And then you're going to make sure that that is toggled on and saved with any updates you just made. Then we're going to go to designs. So I'm going to click on KW. That opens the menu name instead of just the icons. But we're actually going to start in designs. We recommend creating your email first and then adding it to a campaign to send out. We've seen that less errors typically will occur when that's done beforehand. So this is the main designs dashboard. Any template that you've used or looked at in the editing format is going to show up here. So if you haven't played around in designs yet, and this is blank, don't worry, this looks different for everyone. We're going to create design in the upper right-hand corner. If you don't see the create design option up here, you will likely see a plus button down here. And then we're going to go to email. We do have additional classes that involve more of these options. So check out any of those videos on our YouTube channel or come to the next class if you want. Today we're sticking to emails. And this is the template library. So these are templates that KW has put together for you. You have tons of options. Some of them are specific for a newsletter or listing. Some of them are just generic information so that you can send that out if you want, or you can customize it and send it out. Some of them are holiday based, and it's just a quick email to send out to your database. So there's lots of template options. I'm going to start from scratch on an email so I can show you every function that you can add, and then we'll come back to one of the templates if we have time for a second example. So first thing I'm going to do is name it. And then what I recommend doing is adding your legal header and legal footer. So I just selected it from the right-hand side, clicked drag and drop, and wherever the green line appears is where it's going to drop. Now, this looks obviously a little funny. Everything looks like it's a broken image or it's coded. These are all merge tags. These are the sections I mentioned pulling from your marketing profile. So that's what the line and asterisk is for. It's indicating that it's pulling from a different area of the system. If we go to the eyeball right here and preview what this looks like, you'll see that it's actually pulling that from where it's supposed to. So we have the DBA logo with your information, office information, and your information. So this is the legal header, and it'll separate once we start putting material in the email. So you have contact information up here, but then you have all of your legal footer things. So it has your information again, but also the office information. If you're getting an error that has to do with a merge tag, chances are one of these sections that's required in your marketing profile is left blank. So if you get an error and it mentions a merge tag or the template can't be saved, that's typically the first thing we check when we're troubleshooting, is to see if there's any section that is pulling here left blank in your marketing profile. All right, so now I'm just going to go through each of these different things that you can do and how to use them. So my newsletter email is not going to look the prettiest, but I just want to be able to show you guys how each thing functions. Listing block here, again, drag and drop. And I'm going to put it in between my header and my footer. And now after dropping it, we're going to select it and hit the pencil icon that appears. And that opens our editing section over here. And to make this easier, if you have all this information, you can manually type it. However, this is connected to the KWLS, so you can select the listing. And I'm going to default all listings and search by MLS number. We found that this is more exact on the search than if you were to search by property address, and it searches for every variation of that address. So you typically will find it a lot quicker. So once we select the listing, first thing that it's going to ask is for us to select a photo. And then it's pulling in the address information. And then depending on how you market it, you'll want to double check. So this is pulling total baths, but let's say your listing actually was 4-bed, 2.5 bath. You'll want to manually update that. Actually looks like I'm trying to add the dot and it's not working. So this is one section where it's definitely asking for total. But there's going to be other sections where you can update that. Now, if you want, you can link this to a web address or one of your landing pages. Maybe you created an open house sign-in page. Maybe you have a link to a virtual walkthrough that you posted on YouTube. You can add that. Since I selected it, I'm going to just select one of mine and hit done. And that's going to then throw the changes over here. And you can add as many of these as you want. Again, click after dropping it, edit. And it might be hard to see on my screen, but hovering over this one where we added a link to a listing page, it does actually pop up the URL in the very bottom corner of the screen, where this one does not. So that tells us that there is a link and it's working. I'll show you guys how to also send a test email to yourself so that you can check all of that as well before you send it out to your clients. Let's say you wanted to add a text box, just drag and drop it there. Again, selecting it and then the pencil. Whatever you want it to say. You have all the normal text editing options. Let's say you wanted to customize this just a little bit and have it address who you're sending it to. That's what these merge tags are, just like we're pulling agent information or market center information from the marketing profile. If you scroll down, you'll actually get contact information. Now I'm going to hit done, so that changes it. So now if we go to preview, we have an option up here to search for contacts in your database. And that tells you that the merge tag for contact is working. If you wanted to advertise an open house or maybe a client party, something within an event block, you can select that. Now, as a whole, there's no pencil, but it does give you within each section to edit what is there. So here you can edit replace, add images, drag and drop. Oof. Okay, my sample photo is not working. It's too large, so we'll just pretend. But you can add that. Making all my edits to be what I want it to. And then let's say I don't care about this text box. I'm just going to delete it. And it's still there if I wanted to add something. But it looks like there's nothing there. And there's also a button here. So you can actually edit what it says, where it goes. Again, landing page. Maybe you have sign-in sheet or a landing page with more listing information. You can change the size of the button. Color. You can even make it rounded, changing what that looks like. That's a very good question. In the chat, someone asked, is there a way to center the text under the photo? Yeah, so it's just defaulted to being on the left-hand side. So you just come in to edit your text, highlight what you want centered, and then select the centering option. All right, let's say instead of using the event block like this, because you don't need the extra text, maybe you don't want to include the button, you can do all of this manually as well. So let's say you want to add an image. You can pull listing images. Oops. Select whichever one you want. Make it as big as you want. And then you can add text here again, whatever you want it to say. Or if you did want to add a button, you can also drag and drop that separately, just like in the event block. These are just separate icons here rather than being in one. You can also add a video here. So again, drag and drop, select, edit, and then here's the URL that you want it to go. Now, from what we've seen, this does need to be a public URL. You can't just upload a file that you have saved on your phone or your computer. So typically, we've seen agents create a YouTube channel where they can upload their videos that they want to use and then have a public URL link for it. So let's say oops. Let me just copy this link for our class from yesterday. And I'm going to post that video here. And then I have an image I've used before that I can use as a thumbnail, and done. I've seen some people create an image to use as a thumbnail. Some people just take a screenshot of the first thing the video shows. Just depends on how you want to do it. And then the last part for creating it that you can do is adding a market snap. So clicking into that and editing, you can change what you want it to say. Maybe you want it to say the actual location that you're including. Then I'm going to look by zip code, and that pulls up neighborhoods. And then hit done, and that's going to pull in all of those stats. Now these stats are pulling from Nextdoor. It's an integration into the system that KW and Nextdoor have. There is not a way to edit the stats here. So let's say I added one and let's see. This area has no information. There's no image of the neighborhood. There's no stats regarding homes or properties sold. So this will tell me that the neighborhood hasn't been created in Nextdoor. So there is an article that KW put out that tells you how you can be the founder of a neighborhood on Nextdoor, I think is the terminology they use. If you want to get that going, but typically because it's an integration, there's not a way to just like manually update that or manually sync it because that's not set up in their system yet. So for this, I would come back in here and look for a different neighborhood that is actually set up. Now this one's set up, but notice a lot of the stats are still not pulling properly. So if you're sending this to a very targeted client, that may not bother you. But if you're sending this to a generic market in your database, you may want to kind of check on that, make sure everything looks the way you want. I'm a little too quick. Since this info is coming in from Nextdoor, is it including all listings or just KW? It is showing all listings. That is syncing with that neighborhood. It's not just KW listings. That was a great question. All right, so now, looking at our preview, making sure anything we selected for contact is pulling correctly. Our listings are there. Now in this preview, you can't tell that something is linked. Like we linked this to a landing page. So for that, we'll want to send a test email, which I'll show you guys how to do. But I just wanted to point that out. We have our video. Again, you can't tell that it links to a video, but you'll be able to test it. And then our neighborhood information and our legal footer. So if this is all ready, we're going to save those changes. Then under options, you have another option to preview here. And this is where you can send a test email. And you're just typing your email address right into this section. Now, again, because we get this question often, I want to touch on it. In our template, we selected contact first name as a merge tag. So when we send this through command, based on the contact we assign to the campaign, however our contact's first name is addressed in the system, that will be included in the email. But this is a test email, not connected to a specific contact in your database. So this will come in with this. It looks like it says contact first name because there's no contact associated with the test email. So that's why we recommend on the preview making sure when you select the contact that it works, because your test email won't show that. Now, once you type in your email address and send test email, you'll be able to get that in your system and be able to make sure the links work and it looks the way you want and make edits if you need to. So now going to campaigns, which is the icon that looks like a megaphone. Sorry, guys. Typing to the person in the chat really quick. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so once you're in campaigns, this is your main dashboard. Again, we have other classes on different sections of this, but we're going to stick to emails. This is the email campaign dashboard. So you'll be able to see how many emails you've sent in the last 7 days, 30 days, month to date, year to date, or lifetime. How many people received your email, how many people opened them, and how many people clicked on any links. Each command account comes with 5,000 free email sends a month. If you find yourself running out and sending more than that, you can always upgrade the account in the marketplace for an additional cost, depending on how much you want to pay each month for additional emails. There's different options. And then once we create a draft, you'll see it down here. But when you create the email campaign, you'll also have these stats for a specific email that you send out. You can also create email lists ahead of time. I obviously do this for fun, because there are a lot. So this will be blank for most of you, unless you've already created one. We're going to create a list. You can name it whatever you'd like. And then I'm going to select all. I clearly only have one contact with a valid email address. but you'll be able to search by specific name or email addresses. You can search by any tags. So if you have someone tagged as a buyer or a seller, or if you're maybe sending an email about a client appreciation event and you want to find someone that, or find all of your past clients and you have a tag for them in your system that way, you can do that. And then you should be able to scroll all the way down once you've filtered anything, and there's going to be load more contacts. So once you have any filtering done, you'll want to just scroll down, click on that, scroll down, click on it as many times as needed so that everyone is loaded. Then you can select all and confirm. And then that's going to create your contacts here, or sorry, add your email. Wow. Add your contacts to an email list here. Now we're going to create our campaign. Select email. Call it whatever we want that's relevant so that we can find it. Now you can select whatever goal is relevant. And create campaign. So now we have September newsletter, but we just named it. This is going to reflect your email. So this is pulling from your command email in your settings in command, and I'll show you guys how you can update that, as well as this information, the send from and reply to email addresses. So you can't edit it right here, but if this is incorrect or you have a different email than what you want your replies going to listed here, you can change that in the command settings. So recipient list, here you have a drop down of all of the lists you've already created. You can create a list or edit directly from here. We recommend doing it beforehand, just so that, I don't know, the more things you do in the campaign setup, the more likely you are to get an internal error, especially if KW is working on any updates to the back end of the system. So that's why we recommend it. It's not required, but that's why we also already created our design. So here we're going to enter our subject, so whatever you want it to see. And then select design. Now that's going to pull up my templates. So all of the only email designs that you've created. If you've created a image for a social post, but you haven't added that to an email template, then you'll want to do that before, because it's not going to just let you select a social or a print design that you've created to email out. And if you want help walking through how to do that, we do have a tip video that I created that walks you through, like, you've already created a social design, but you want to add that to an email so that you can send it out via email as well. It'll walk you through doing that in Designs if you want. So selecting it, it's going to give you another chance to edit it. I'm going to save and then close and save changes. And now it's over here in our template. From here, you can preview as well as send another test email if you haven't done so yet. And then you're able to either save as a draft, schedule, or send and start processing that. You schedule it, you can set it for a specific day and a specific time for it to start processing. Did not like that I didn't apply date and time. There, that changed it. And then schedule. There we go. So we have our overview here, the status. This is the date, so it's scheduled for this date and this time. If you had hit send, this would say processing or mailed once it's done processing with the date, and then the number of emails that were sent on this campaign, how many people have opened it or clicked on any of the links. You will also be able to, once that is processed, click on, since this is scheduled, it says processing, but we have one email scheduled to go out and none not scheduled. But on yours, once it's actually processing and mailed or emailed out, you will see different stats here of how many were sent, if any were not sent, not delivered, and what the reason. If anyone unsubscribed, you can do that from here on each campaign, or you can look at those in your report section under email reports. And I'll show you that as well. So under reports, we're going to go to emails. And then you'll have information here on how many you've sent, what your limit is, and what's left. And then here for delivery and engagement, you'll have the number of emails successfully delivered, how many were not successfully delivered, how many people opened them, clicked on things. If anyone replied, you'll be able to track that. And then unsubscribed, you'll be able to see, and under each of these view details, you'll have the email address that unsubscribed, as well as whether it was a Smart Plan email or a campaign email, and the subject of the email. So if you're looking at your reports, you'll be able to tell which email that went out was unsubscribed from and why. Well, I guess not really why, but whether or not it was a Smart Plan, maybe they got tired of looking at monthly neighborhood nurture updates or whatever. That gives you a reason, depending on your relationship with the client, to reach out. I am going to go back to this before I forget and cancel. And then I also want to show you guys where in your settings you can update your reply to email. So going back to the upper right-hand corner, we're going to go back into settings like we did at the beginning. Except we're actually going to stay on this main integrations page once it loads. I might have gotten a little too click happy. And then down at the bottom, you'll see email services as a whole. And command email should be the one at the top. you manage that connection. You'll have your name. So whatever is entered here, that's how your name will be displayed when people receive your emails that are sent through Command. And then your reply to email. So it pulls different email addresses from different areas of your profile. So you have marketing profile, your KW email, whatever's listed as your in white pages as your main email. And then you can also manually add a custom email and save changes. That way, any reply not only will let you know in Command, it'll track that someone replied for you, but it'll go to that main email address. So you'll have an email, inbox to check. You don't have to worry about only receiving a response as like a note in Command or anything like that. Here you can also see your monthly usage of your 5,000 available emails, or whatever your available emails are if you've already upgraded, but you can manage subscription if you want to upgrade. And that should take you right into Command email in the marketplace. So you have different plans that you can subscribe to. So if you want, instead of 5,000 free emails or 5,000 email sends, you can have up to 10,000 for $10 per month, 20,000 for 25. So there's different plans depending on the need if you want to do that. All right, guys, I know I went through that not even fast, but detailed with a lot of little notes here and there, just wanting to touch on questions that we get all the time. Thank you guys so much for coming. I hope this was helpful. Again, feel free to email us. I'll put the email in the chat again for you. If you have any questions, our team would be happy to take a look at that, see if there's something going on with your system, if you're getting a funny error or anything like that. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday and a great rest of your day.